Polls begin to close across the Bluegrass. A look at the impact fewer precincts had on this election. Meanwhile, state officials boast about the process, predicting a higher than usual turnout.
We'll see a few scattered rain chances Wednesday, but we'll end out the work week on a high note with plenty of sunshine. I'll have a look at that full 7-day forecast right now at 6.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
An election like no other. Candidates anxiously await tonight for some, but not all, of the results of this June primary. We will likely not learn most of the winners for another week. At the top of the ticket, all eyes are on the Democratic primary for U.S. Senate. While it is a crowded field, it is believed the two frontrunners are Amy McGrath and Charles Booker. We will dive much more into that race shortly. But all the talk since May, how to vote. More than 889,000 Kentuckians requested an absentee ballot. Meanwhile, thousands more showed up to a heavily reduced number of precincts across the Bluegrass this morning. WYMT's Will Puckett is at Perry County's lone polling location, Perry Central High School, and he's live with more. Will.
Steve, good evening. Those polls are now closed except for anyone still in line waiting to vote. Today, as we have been here since about 10 o'clock this morning, we have seen a steady stream of people walking into John C. Combs Arena here at Perry County to have their voice heard. On a rainy Tuesday, voters in Perry County made their way out to cast their ballots.
It's a little bit different. We got one polling place. Kind of makes it a little bit difficult for some people maybe, but I still would vote. I voted every time since I turned 18.
Douglas Bryant's usual polling location is in Avalon, but today, like many Kentuckians, he drove to the largest gym in the county to vote.
Pretty good turnout so far. I didn't really get to talk to anybody because you can't do that like you do at your local precinct, not this time of year. So pretty much voted and exit. But it was a good experience overall.
While turnout numbers in Perry County are yet to be released, voters like Brian and Leonard Toller see little problem with having to drive to a central location.
It's in the neighborhood.
For Toller, he gave some thought to picking up an absentee ballot, but at the end of the day, he decided the best way was to vote at Perry Central in person.
The absentee, I don't know. I hadn't thought about mailing one in. I'd just rather vote in person.
In person, absentee, or early. Just getting out and voting in a year that ends with the presidential election. Steve, we've seen a brief downpour around noon here and then a little bit of rain, as you can see with my hood up before and we started our 6 o'clock live shot. But for the most part of the day, the rain stayed away and people came to vote. We did reach out to Perry County Clerk Wayne Napier to get an idea of how the day has went. He was too busy counting those absentee ballots to interview with us. Steve.
Yeah, the clerk's been very busy the last few days, I can only imagine. Thank you very much, Will. Knox County opened 2 polling locations, one at Knox Central High School, the other at Ling Camp High School. To make sure everyone was safe, the tables were placed about 6 feet apart. Each table was cleaned once someone finished voting. County Clerk Mike Corey believes turnout there will be around 25%. While many took advantage of absentee or early voting, others wanted to be more traditional this primary, and people lined up early this morning at Kroger Field in Lexington to cast their ballot, the only place in Fayette County you could vote. Some waited an hour or longer to vote throughout the day. Well, this election will go down in the history books as one of the most different ones in the state's history. The COVID-19 pandemic caused state leaders to scramble to find a safer way for people to cast ballots. Kentucky's Secretary of State says the plan did have some glitches, but overall it worked out very well. WYMT's Phil Pendleton spoke to Michael Adams about the combination of mail-in and in-person voting.
All eyes were on Kentucky to see how they handled the primary amid the COVID-19 pandemic.
Well, so far Kentucky's a national success story. We've not had any systemic problems. We've got good turnout. People are coming out to vote.
We'll be in session all day long on Election Day until the polls close.
The State Board of Elections in Adams spent most of Tuesday monitoring the system and said few issues were found. But Adams did call out Fayette County for long lines at Kroger Field.
That issue's been addressed. We help provide more e-poll books to the county clerk there to get people checked in faster. And so the lines there are still about a third of what they've been in other states. But that's still too long. I want the lines even shorter.
This was Kentucky's first test in social distancing and voting in person.
They had arrows letting you know where to go. Please keep safe distancing. Everyone adheres to it. Everyone just kind of wants to get their vote in and get out and go home, get out of this rain.
More than 29% of registered voters were expected to take part in the primary. Although polling places had lines today, thousands of others mailed theirs in.
But it's not straining our election officials. It's been very manageable getting people in and out relatively quickly.
Now the question is, did this work so well? Let's do it again in November.
But we're going to monitor today and see how well it goes, see what works, what doesn't work.
While Kentucky was able to move the May primary, that will not be possible for the general election. In Franklin County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Adams says there was a tremendous cost for voting by mail. However, some of that was paid by the federal government. With such an unprecedented primary, we wanted to talk to experts about the issue. Josh Douglas is a University of Kentucky professor. He's written a book about election laws. While he would have liked to have seen more in-person polling available, he does think this primary process is better than anything we've done before.
It's not, the 600,000 voters for one polling place in Louisville or 250,000 voters for one polling place in Lexington. That was never going to be the case, given the amount of mail-in balloting that we had.
This is the first time state leaders have given every Kentuckian a chance to vote absentee. If you have a ballot not filled out yet, it has to be postmarked by today to be counted. A longtime Kentucky lawmaker Albert Robinson faces some stiff competition in his Senate race. The Republican state senator has been in and out of state politics since 1972. He's served the 21st district since 2013. Two Republicans, Kay Hensley and Brandon Storm, are challenging him in the primary.
I took a hard look at my life. I am 57 years old, and I thought, what can I do with the rest of my life that would make a positive difference?
Just trying to make sure that people know that we're going to be present, and that's the other thing. I want people to know that I'm going to be present in the counties. I shop there, I eat there, I visit there, and I want to be there.
We did reach out to Robinson today, but he did not respond to our request for an interview. As voting wraps up across the region, voters who live in Middlesboro had something extra on their ballots: the vote for Middlesboro to go wet. It's been moist since 2015, meaning restaurants could serve alcohol. WYMT's Emily Bennett is live now in Middlesboro. She talked to voters today who gave their opinion on that issue. Emily?
Steve, it was a simple check yes or no, whether you were in favor of the sale of alcoholic beverages in Middlesboro or not. Now, for nearly 5 years, restaurants in Middlesboro have been able to sell alcohol. Now, those who live in the city are deciding if alcohol can be sold in stores. The tax revenue from alcohol sales helps fund the police department. All the surrounding towns, such as Pineville, are already wet. Now, today at the polls, voters had many differing opinions. Some believing the city should go wet, as many travel to other towns to buy alcohol and the money is leaving Middlesboro. Others think it would only bring more corruption to the city.
Alcohol is a root of all evil. It just tears families apart, in my opinion.
Yeah, keep the money in Middlesboro. That's not, I like Pineville, I like Harrogate, all that, but Middlesboro's just giving their money away. Keep it in Middlesboro.
Now, more than 1,000 people came here to the Middlesboro Community Center to vote today. Now, this was the only voting place in Bell County. Now, it'll take several days for the final results of the wet-dry vote, but tonight at 11, I will have the results from today's in-person voting. In Middlesboro, Emily Bennett, WYMT Mountain News.
All right, Emily, thank you. The U.S. Senate race in Kentucky is getting national attention. Six-term Senator Mitch McConnell is up for re-election, and the campaign for the Democratic nominee has been fierce. Garrett Weimer shows us how the candidates are spending Election Day.
As voters across Kentucky cast their ballots, the primary season has come to a close. Now we wait for the nominee to challenge Senator Mitch McConnell.
whether you like him or not, whether you agree with him or disagree with him, this is a smart candidate who knows how to win.
It's been a busy week for the Democratic candidates, and they capped it off with a busy election day. Charles Booker greeted voters at the fairgrounds, Louisville's only polling location today.
It should not be hard to vote. One location is not enough.
McGrath met with supporters trying to get out the vote in northern Kentucky. Yesterday, she, like Booker, spent the day in eastern Kentucky.
We need a senator that's finally going to be a voice for eastern Kentucky, for the needs.
Looking ahead to the fall, thanks in part to McGrath's fundraising totals, Cook Political Report rates the race as likely Republican, not solid Republican.
Also, when you sort of dig deeper, McConnell has pretty high negatives, and that's something that could make him vulnerable.
But experts say the math could change depending on his challenger. So first, we need to know the primary winner.
As Garrett Weimer reporting again, we will probably have some results tonight, but winner is most certainly not going to be called, I wouldn't expect, in that Democratic race for U.S. Senate. Now, Booker has a thank you rally in Louisville tonight already underway. McGrath will not hold any public events, but we do expect to hear from her tonight. As for Mike Breuer, another candidate campaigning a lot across the region, his get-together outside Kroger Field in Lexington is just starting. 5th District Congressman Hal Rogers wants to hold on to his seat for a 21st term. He is Kentucky's longest-serving Republican in Congress, besting U.S. Senator Mitch McConnell by 4 years. His challenger in the Republican primary is Gerardo Serrano, who bills himself as a pro-life, pro-gun conservative. The winner takes on Democrat Matthew Ryan Best in November. One of the hottest races in eastern Kentucky is for 7th District State Supreme Court Justice. Former Letcher County Circuit Judge and incumbent Sam Wright is fighting to hold on to the seat. His challengers are 93rd District House Representative Chris Harris of Pike County and longtime Greenup and Lewis County Judge Robert Bob Conley. The top two will move on to November. With Representative Harris running for the Supreme Court, that leaves his 93rd District seat open. Looking ahead to November, Democrat Rod Varney and Republican Norma Kirk McCormick will square off. Neither have challengers in the primary.
Seen that rain throughout the day today, but we've also seen that sunshine return pretty quickly. It got soggy throughout the mountains, and that's because we've seen a cold front that is still currently pushing through the mountains. As we look at that UVA-wise camera, you could see that mixture of sun and clouds throughout the day. Started out with some sunshine, then some rain, and then a little bit more sunshine. As we look outside the front porch at WYMT, looks like y'all about to get hit with another little shower, maybe a pop-up storm over there. Starting to look a little bit more on that gloomy side. So as we scan the skies now, it actually looks a little bit more north of you, but maybe just a stray shower right outside of Hazard. You're seeing a stray shower really up towards Jackson as well. Few showers moving out of Floyd County and into parts of Pike County, but most of us remaining on that dry side. Temperatures look to drop into the mid to upper 60s tonight with a few showers here and there. Then we're going to continue to see those rain chances as we head into tomorrow. We'll cool down a little bit, but more sunshine's in store heading into the rest of that work week. I'll have a look at that forecast coming up in a little bit.
And I can confirm it did rain here just a few seconds ago. Heard it on the roof. Thank you, Paige. While the governor announced no new deaths from COVID-19 yesterday, unfortunately, he announced 11 more Kentuckians have died from the virus today. He did not hold a news conference, but did release the new information. The governor also announced 315 new cases today. That brings Kentucky's total to more than 14,000. The number of Kentuckians lost to the virus has now reached 537. Nearly 3,600 Kentuckians at least have recovered from the virus. The Army Corps of Engineers is opening up new recreation areas in southern Kentucky. This includes new swimming areas and group picnic shelters. They'll be opening at Lake Cumberland and Laurel River Lake next week on June 29th. The Corps of Engineers wants to remind everyone that social distancing guidelines do apply at the new recreation areas. We expect to hear from Governor Beshear tomorrow about what Kentucky classrooms might look like this fall. The Lexington Herald Leader has already talked with several superintendents about plans to begin the year online. They also talked about both teachers and students wearing masks during the school day. Meals will not look the same. School leaders are thinking about expanding the cafeteria to gyms and hallways, making sure all students face the same direction, and giving students more time during lunch to wash their hands. Again, we expect to learn much more about this tomorrow. One East Kentucky partnered with several other groups to introduce their East Kentucky Workforce Study 2.0. The first study, conducted back in 2016, was trying to understand the skill sets of coal miners coming out of the mines and entering new fields. The new study introduces employer and resident surveys and student interviews to help collect information and input. The president of One East Kentucky says the process might take a little longer due to COVID-19.
Originally, it was supposed to take 4 months, but I think it's going to take a little bit longer now because of the nature of our current world. Like the student survey, probably won't be able to do those until fall, and we're not sure what classes resuming are going to look like yet.
The employer and resident survey will be live through the first week of July. The link to fill that out can be found on our website.
Scattered showers and thunderstorms continue tomorrow, but we'll also see plenty of sunshine heading into the end of the week. I'll have a look at that forecast coming up.
And also up next, find out how the city of Beattyville is celebrating those who served in the military.